What is up, basketball fans? Welcome to a live NBA outlet. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me, as always, Kory Waldron. What's up, Kory? How we doing?
I'm doing good. The Warriors extended the NBA Finals, so the NBA season is not over yet. We have a couple more podcasts left. But it was a very good game from start to finish. A very sad moment, which we'll talk about at some point, but it was a good game and it did disappoint.
Yeah, a lot of emotions everywhere in this game, from the Warriors winning to the Kevin Durant injury to the Raptors feeling like they had clinched the NBA Finals. Just a lot of things happened. As always, check us out: iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, OTGBasketball.com, Google Play, Dash Radio, and YouTube. And today we are giving away a Golden State Warriors t-shirt right here. All you have to do, leave a question and a comment in the YouTube chat. We'll give that away, one random person midway through the show. But Kory, let's get into this recap. Obviously, Warriors pick it up 106-105. This was a game down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors obviously had Kevin Durant to start this game. They went with the death lineup from the get-go. And honestly, I loved what I saw from the Warriors in the first quarter. The defense was shaky at times, but I thought they were playing with a lot of energy. The guys looked locked in. They were, 5 for 5 from three to start the game. Durant, the leg looked really good early. He looked really good early. It looked like it was going to be, a Warrior-dominated game. But, of course, this Raptors team, which has been their MO, they kind of stick around through every Warriors run. The Warriors can never really pull away. The Raptors hang tough. Kawhi, I thought, was impactful besides being he obviously turned it up late. But really, it was his defensive rebounding that he kind of leaned on because he just didn't have the shot tonight. He had some big buckets when needed, but this was like a Kyle Lowry game, a Marc Gasol game early. I mean, Marc Gasol in the first quarter was huge, but it was the Warrior starters being just a tiny bit better, a smidge bit. But it was a hell of a game, man. I mean, wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it from the perspective that Golden State going to a lot of games when you're facing them and they're fully healthy, you're like, all right, we need a cushion. In this game, going against the Raptors, being a man down, the Warriors need a cushion. They got that with Kevin Durant playing early on. And like you mentioned, that death lineup being out there, I thought it was crucial they got that boost. And it was just enough to get Steph and Klay going in the offense, just running a little bit smoother. Obviously, they had more struggles in the second half. But having KD and then Cousins, I thought, hardly playing at all. And then KD goes down to come in and give them a boost. That was just huge for the team to just have that source. Obviously, the Raptors kind of killed him defensively, especially in that fourth quarter. But overall, I thought he gave them a little bit of a boost scoring that they needed when KD went down.
Yeah. And also a shout out to Klay Thompson. He was really good tonight. I thought defensively on Kawhi, and then just offensively, a lot of big time threes. It was really nice to see the Splash Brothers really turn it up.
Yeah, they won this game. They were getting a lot of attention that second half. You mentioned Klay hit some big shots. Curry hit some big shots. That 9-0 run, two threes from Klay, 1 3 from Steph. That's kind of what you think about when you think Splash Brothers.
And can we say that that in the fourth quarter there was the Curry gets in the corner, dishes to Iggy, or not Iggy, to Draymond? No, who was it? Dishes to
he passes to Iggy, and then he passes to Draymond.
Right, but Iggy's like, oh wait, who wants to take the wide open shot? Iggy's like, nah, not really. And Draymond's like, ah, shit, I have to. And honestly, the confidence on that shot of all the jump shots he took and the smile he had afterwards, it was nice. This was actually a game too where I felt like the Warriors kind of had their spunk back. It hasn't felt like they've been the same charismatic team as they usually are throughout this series because they've pretty much been punched in the mouth. But Durant kind of set that tempo early when he had that moment with Fred VanVleet where he's like, nah, me, you're not doing that. And I felt like that really carried over for the team. We saw, Draymond do a little bit of that. Klay was a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. He was a little charismatic, more charismatic. Yeah. I love just the energy.
A little bit more dancing from him after he made big plays. And you mentioned KD. I was super impressed when KD first came in the game to knock down a couple threes. I was like, damn, man, you haven't played in this long and you just got it like that to come back in and drop it on contested threes. Like, it was really impressive. You mentioned the whole team kind of knocking down threes early on, just a confidence booster where they haven't necessarily been great. There was a couple timely threes from Draymond, Iguodala, whoever it may be. Quinn Cook had that big fourth quarter three. But I don't want to say I was surprised, but when the Raptors went up 6, I thought the Raptors were going to pull this one out and they were going to win the championship tonight.
So I was watching this with a bunch of friends, and they live right next door. And when the Raptors went up, they called a timeout. And I was like, all right, I'm going to run home quick. And I came home, and it was the Warriors had just scored. So it was like 103-100. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, what just happened in the 30 seconds it takes me to walk next door? The Raptors felt like they had that all in the bag. Kawhi hit that big time three. And also, I mean, this before I forget, was that a travel on Kawhi?
I think so. It looked like he picked up his pivot foot slightly and then dropped it back down.
Right.
I thought, to be honest, I thought Kawhi got away with a couple travels this game because there was a couple in the first half where they didn't give it to him, or if they weren't going to call it a travel, it should have definitely been a jump ball. But I'm a little bit nitpicking because they don't really call travels, but a couple of them really stuck out.
One more travel to talk about. Curry gets that rebound underneath the hoop late in the game. It actually leads to the three that Draymond hits off the Iggy pass.
Mm-hmm.
But Curry catches it underneath the rim, and he takes like 2-3 steps, and he's like, all right, I got to put this down now. But it was they don't call travels.
Yeah, the travels are hardly ever called. I thought, officiating has been really up and down the series. I thought that Cousins' putback was probably clean. And I think in that situation that you're going to give it to him. And if not, like, you're not going to call that offensive foul that you saw on the other end where they gave him a shoulder shrug. I get it. But the situation in the game, you probably shouldn't call that, especially because Fred VanVleet was obviously holding on to Curry right there.
Yeah, they set a weird precedent for foul calling in this game because in the first quarter they weren't letting these guys play. They were
pretty much the entire series has been weird in terms of officiating. It's been up and down.
At moments it feels like they want you to play physical, and then in other games, especially like tonight, they were saying we're not going to let you be physical tonight. But then there was moments where they let them be physical. So it's what a weird thing. And that was another big thing about this game is a lot of these guys had to play with foul trouble. I mean, Draymond, Clay, Kyle Lowry got in foul trouble late. It changes the game when all of these guys are in foul trouble. Marc Gasol, I think, too, was in foul trouble.
Yeah, he had 4 fouls at one point. I think to start the game in the first quarter, it felt like 5 or 6 guys already had 2 fouls. So from that point on, it was just you had to adjust. I know Klay Thompson had 2 early fouls, and he couldn't really play the same type of defense the rest of the game. But talking defense, Kawhi Leonard, not his best game of the series. He did have that late run in the fourth quarter, but only 26 points, 9 of 24 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3. Did you think this, and 5 turnovers, did you think this was Kawhi just struggling or the Warriors defense a little bit better considering Iguodala, I thought, stepped up a touch in this game?
I mean, Iggy was as good as he can be at his age. I thought he played Kawhi very well. Kawhi just didn't have it. I mean, that happens, right? I mean, this is a guy who's been leaned on heavily so far in these playoffs, throughout this series already. It just wasn't his night offensively. Like, I didn't even necessarily hate the game he played offensively. I mean, I feel like he still got into some good positions. I mean, the one layup he had early, that was still ridiculous. But it just wasn't his night. Defensively, I thought he was okay. Obviously, what he gives you rebounding-wise, too, kind of picks up. I mean, board man. But it just didn't come together. And they had more offense from guys like Lowry again tonight. So it was okay for Kawhi to be off, but it happens. Like, people were already like in Twitter saying, "Oh, well, how is this guy better than Antetokounmpo or James Harden? Like, how is this guy?" It's like, bro, like, it's one bad game. Can we stop overreacting to one bad game from a player?
Yeah, and
pretty much healthy.
Yeah, and everyone's had bad games. Giannis, Harden, everybody in the playoffs has had. Joel Embiid, like, name the star player, they've had a bad game in the playoffs. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, when he was healthy, still had some rough shooting events. So, but you mentioned Marc Gasol. I think Marc Gasol has probably been one of the most impressive Raptors in the series because I didn't expect a big series from him, and he's really stepped up and given that scoring boost, especially knocking down a couple threes.
Yeah, I mean, I actually in the first half, in the the first quarter where he was so active, I mean, throughout the entire series, I think, like, I had this feeling this is like the other guy's story. In a lot of it, we had that other guy's series for OTG a little bit earlier in the season, and like Kyle Lowry, like Marc Gasol, these are star guys, but they're guys that we don't like think about or respect necessarily enough. Like, Marc Gasol was a tremendous piece for numerous years in Memphis, like the grit and grind era. And yeah, he's not the same dominant center he was, but the man is probably one of the smartest basketball players currently in this series, at least. And he shows it on a given basis, his ability to disrupt Cousins a little bit, to facilitate. I mean, the screen he had on Fred VanVleet in the second quarter, I want to say, where Fred VanVleet got like the rainbow 3 over him. Like, he just does a lot of little things, and you need guys like that in the NBA Finals who are willing to just not be a vocal point scoring, but can give you just a little bit of everything. And that's what he's been.
The biggest play for me that stuck out for him, Marcus, you talked about intelligence, when he decided to double team Steph when he was in the backcourt and was getting close to an 8-second violation. Then it kind of forced Draymond into a weird situation that ended up being backcourt. That doesn't happen without Marcus looking at the shot clock, realizing, okay, if I pressure Curry here, they could turn the ball over, and they did. They just didn't capitalize on the offensive end. So I think that's the entire Raptors team. Basketball IQ has really stuck out, from Lowry to Gasol to Danny Green to Kawhi Leonard. Even Pascal Siakam seems very intelligent. Fred VanVleet. Like, a lot of these guys have done a great job in terms of rotations, communication, passing, whatever it may be. So, but we do have a couple, thoughts and questions from our guys. Got Will Jackson, Jack Manuel, Jorge in here. Will said, should Boogie have a bigger role in Game 6?
I mean, he played 19 minutes tonight, right? So he had a 27-minute Game 2, which he was really good in, and then he was trash, right? Can we say trash for Game 4?
I think
I don't
Game 3
think,
and Game 4 he wasn't good. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think off the bench is where you want Boogie. At least, well, I don't know now. Now with Durant gone, it's a little bit different. But I like Boogie off the bench. I think the 20-minute mark, maybe 25 tops, like, you really want him in this range, because I thought tonight he had some good bounce in his legs. I mean, that stretch after Durant went down, I mean, this team kind of could have fell apart. And he had, 9 points in 5 minutes, his first 5 minutes of the game. So I think Boogie is going to be crucial if the Warriors do want to win this series, but I don't think we can expect that.
Yeah, I think you have to play him at the right minutes. It's almost you want to play him when Kyle Lowry's out there, because Lowry did a great job of attacking him in the pick and roll and getting those switches in this game. And if they're able to kind of find minutes where Lowry's not on the floor, that typically I think will work better for Cousins. Or if they can just make some adjustments and they're not overcommitting to switching and getting Cousins in that bad situation, because offensively he definitely gives him a boost. Rebounding, just the actual presence in the paint, having that size, especially with the Looney injury. I think that's a really underrated thing. We're going to talk about the Kevin Durant injury, but Looney going down, I thought he's probably their best big they've had in the series, just because he can give them defense, he can give the rebounding, and he's just better defender than what they have out there right now.
I mean, shout out to him again. I mean, once again tonight, I mean, you could tell he was he was in far more pain tonight than he was in Game 4. At least I felt. I mean, he was grimacing a lot, and you need Looney, especially now with Durant out for likely the series. I think we'll talk about that too in a little bit. Looney's going to be crucial. You need that kind of grit, and they just don't have a lot of talent. I mean, you can't go down to Jerebko. I think Jerebko's kind of proved he's unplayable. Jordan Bell, I mean, he played a few minutes tonight, but it's just he had
that one terrible defensive assignments where he was just lost, and it ended up being a wide open layup for Toronto. And that's when Steve Kerr called the timeout and benched in the rest of the game. Before that, he had a couple decent minutes, but that type of play in the finals in the fourth quarter, unacceptable.
Yeah, it's just you can't rely on Quinn Cook, Jerebko, Bell. Like, you can't afford to have those guys out there. And even Livingston, to a degree, I mean, Livingston can give you kind of burst, but there's a point in time where you just have to get him off the floor because he just can't do very much.
Yeah, you're going to have to play. You have Curry playing 41 tonight, Clay playing 42, Draymond playing 41. They're going to have to match these minutes again. You're probably going to have to put Iguodala back up and maybe into the mid-30s, but he has an injury as well. I don't know what Steve Kerr is going to do. I know a lot of people are criticizing his lineups, but he really just doesn't have a ton of options right now. When you lose two of your top 6, top 7 rotation pieces, Kevin Durant and Kevon Looney, in the playoffs, you're going to be in trouble.
That's a fair point.
So what do you think about the Kevin Durant injury? What was your take on it? I did talk to a medical doctor during the game, so I do have a little input on that, but you give your take first.
Talk to a medical doctor, huh?
Matt Wynn, he used to write for OTG,
okay.
Sports injuries and stuff. I'll say that first. He said it, hopefully, he obviously didn't get to study him or see Kevin Durant. He said it didn't look like a full tear of the Achilles or calf because Kevin Durant was still able to move his foot afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I had a doctor source too say the same thing. He can move his foot. So Originally, obviously, goes down, grabs the Achilles, red flags, Achilles. I mean, first off, thoughts and prayers, Kevin Durant. Hope it's nothing too serious. Hope he get back as soon as possible. It changes everything about this series because now Durant's gone for the series. I mean, if it's an Achilles, this could be, we talked about this with a lot of these injuries. It could change the landscape of the NBA for the next decade. If we lose out on a star player with a major injury like the Achilles, we know how it is for NBA players to come back from this injury. It's probably the worst injury you can suffer as a basketball player. I mean, ACL, debate it. So, I mean, my concern is that I don't like thinking ahead, but like if this is a worst case scenario injury, then the $31.5 million player option he has is going to be accepted, and he's going to be on the Warriors next year. Is how I see it if this is a serious injury. And I know I probably should be thinking about that, but that's just kind of how the nature of the business is if this is serious, you can't afford to take a risk and have people not offer you money like they did a Boogie Cousins. So you would take that, and then the Warriors get at least one more chance with Durant. But then that also changes how their free agency complexion goes with how they handle Clay and Draymond. I know I probably should be thinking about that, but that's where my mind went.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how serious the injury is. If it's a major tear, a partial tear, whatever it may be, the timeline of the injury recovery will be ready at the beginning of next season, mid-season, maybe not until the playoffs of next year. There's a lot of variables. I think right now Golden State's looking at it. Obviously, they're not going to have in the rest of the series major impact because you just saw the effect of him being out there, how much smoother everything ran, and they just had a different type of confidence and energy. You talked about, I'm talking to Fred VanVleet. But moving forward to the offseason, it's tough to say. Part of me thinks that Kevin Durant could still get a big deal from another team or from Golden State because he is a unique type of player and he probably could recover from the Achilles. He might not get to the same level he ever was, but it depends on how bad the injury is. So I wouldn't lock him in saying Golden State. I think it increases the possibility, but we still need to kind of find out more about the injury news. But overall impact for the rest of the series, Toronto probably still feels pretty good, but winning Game 5 and having that confidence, we kind of talked about off air, going Game 6, last game possibly at Oracle. Actually, it will be the last game ever at Oracle in Game 6. So the Warriors going to have a different type of energy. Winning this game, carrying over hot shooting, I don't know what it could mean for the rest of the series and how Toronto kind of feels. Probably thinking this is a blown opportunity. Being up 6 with 2 or 3 minutes left in the game, you feel like you probably should have won, especially the way Kawhi went on that tear.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a missed opportunity. You had the chance to close out a series at home coming off of 2 wins on the road. I mean, if you're talking about momentum, all the momentum was in favor of the Toronto Raptors tonight. And then the Kawhi injury happens, and Jay Christian tweeted this, and I kind of agreed. It felt like the Raptors were more shell-shocked about the Durant injury than the actual Warriors were after it happened. But, it was a missed opportunity. They, like you said, they were up late. It felt like they had taken control after that Kawhi 3. It just felt like the game was switching over. And the Warriors were able to muster up some more "we're still the champ" ingredients. And like you said, we're going back now to Oracle for Game 6, the last game ever in Oracle. They've already lost 2 games at Oracle. Like, the Warriors are going to lose 3 games at Oracle to end the NBA Finals. Like, I don't even know if I feel confident as the Raptors going into Game 6. I mean, obviously, you feel good because Boogie was really good tonight. You haven't really gotten that. Can Curry and Clay keep up with that much attention to be so successful still? But this was a game that you really wanted to win if you're the Raptors because I think the series, again, is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors shot 47% from 3. The Raptors shot 25%. That's a major factor in the series. But
Siakam wasn't good again.
Yeah, and when we also know the Warriors are one of the best 3-point shooting teams, ever, considering the talent they have at Steph and Clay. So if they can kind of carry that momentum, it's scary for Toronto. They still should feel good from a talent perspective, but the one positive, I think, if I'm Golden State, the next game isn't till Thursday. So they do have 2 days off to kind of get fresh, especially for playing Curry and Clay big minutes. I think if you're Steve Kerr, you maybe even consider playing them more minutes than you played tonight. Maybe you look at 44, 46 minutes, giving them only a few minutes of rest or just taking it at opportune times. I know he usually tries to rest them a little bit, but Game 6 and you're depleted down to pretty much nothing, you got to play your stars big minutes.
For sure. I mean, this is the time of the year where you lean on the guys who have gotten you to this point.
Do you think Toronto is going to feel any type of pressure going to Game 6, like some other guys could possibly choke, never being in this situation before?
I mean, I think if you're looking at guys who may be smaller in the moment, it's guys like Kyle Lowry, right? I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest games of his career. Marc Gasol, how do these guys handle needing to be really good on the road again? Kawhi, he's a robot. He's going to go out with the same mindset of I'm going to try and win this game and do everything I can. But I think, and Siakam, I mean, you kind of need a big Siakam game, right? I mean, the way he started off this series, Game 1, Game 3, Game 2, Game 5, it hasn't been very. Maybe I don't know. It just wasn't very good in those 2 games.
Only 12 points tonight, 6 of 15. Just like you said, 0 of 4 from 3. I think the 3-point shooting is one of the crucial factors for the series.
And he's had some looks from 3. Like, it's not like they're daring him to take the open shot. So I think Siakam's another guy. But you're right. There is not that you're right. You asked the question. I think there is pressure on the Raptors on the road because these guys have been inconsistent for a lot of this season. Even though they're a very talented team, the offense does go through spurts where they just can't score. And when that arena starts kicking, they start chanting that stupid Warriors chant. Things could get hairy.
Yeah, and I think the Warriors haven't had the type of momentum that they did at the end of this game. Going on that 9-0 run, like we talked about, that Clay and Steph, then Clay, 3 threes in a row, that type of momentum and coming back when the series felt over is the type of thing you kind of carry over to a game. It could kind of just change the momentum of the whole series. Obviously, Game 7 will be a whole different animal, but getting to Game 6 and winning Game 6, I think, will be really crucial. Now, getting over to giving away this Golden State T-shirt, looking at some different guys. Oh,
T-shirt time.
Before it's T-shirt time, from Shams, it looks, Will Jackson in the chat, it looks like it's an Achilles. So that is not what you want to hear on the Kevin Durant front.
Injuries fucking suck. Sorry for the language. Injuries.
You're fired. I'm just kidding.
Injuries suck.
It says it's an Achilles injuries. They don't say the actual thing. It just sucks. It says Bob Myers is holding back tears. Obviously it's a really rough situation for Golden State, Kevin Durant, the situation he's in, his legacy, and just, how crucial the injury could be to his entire career. Kevin Durant did post on Snapchat, Dub Nation going to be loud as F for Game 6. I'm hurting deep in the soul right now. I can't lie, but seeing my brothers get this win was like taking a shot of tequila. I got new life, LOL, #Dubs. So, I mean, at least he has some, I guess I would call positivity. It does suck for him, and we'll find out more with the MRI tomorrow. But getting to the T-shirt time, I think it is only right that we give the T-shirt to the guy who dropped the news, and that's Will Jackson. So, Will, obviously you know where to find me. Hit me with your DM and your address. You'll get this Warriors T-shirt. Kory, any other thoughts? Actually, give me your prediction for Game 6.
See, I had Game 6 Warriors by 7.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Warriors as well. Give me between 3 and 6 points.
Yeah, I think it's one of those games where it comes down once again to the wire. We're not seeing. We may even have a Game 7 feel in Game 6.
Yeah, Klay Thompson Game 6. That's scary. And that is scary. But as always, appreciate everybody taking the time to check in with us, listen in, watch the show, whatever it may be. Check us out: iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, Google Play, Dash Radio, and YouTube.
Peace out, Knuckleheads.